everybody. I am Savani Babu.
And I'm Sabine K. Bergman.
We're the co-founders of Hidden Compass, and we are joined today by writer and filmmaker Paul Fischer, who wrote a piece for our Chasing Demons department about two brothers, Palestinian twins who call themselves Tarzan and Arab, whose unlikely dream of one day seeing a film in a movie theater catapulted them into an even unlikelier dream of creating the films they wish to see. We are excited that you're here to chat with us about your story, Paul. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to get started by asking you, what first motivated you to become a writer and a filmmaker?
The writing came first, and I can't remember when that kind of started. I remember being a kid and spending all my time reading and writing and having a teacher when I was maybe 7 or 8. I grew up in France, and she was moving away from France, and she gave every kid a book at the end of the year with a little kind of inscription. And I remember hers and mine being, when you write your first book, I hope I get a signed copy. And it hadn't even crossed my mind, but I was like, ooh, writing, that'd be cool. I do that anyway. And then the filmmaking became a detour. I wanted to be a director because I wanted to be like Steven Spielberg. And then I realized I wasn't talented enough to do that. So I figured I'll be a producer because the people who had talent seem to do that. And then I realized there's lots of talents to producing that I don't have either. And I kind of circled my way back to the writing just because that seemed to be the skills that I had and the interests that drew me. And then ended up, the great thing about writing being that I could sort of do anything, write about guys like these guys, write books, write screenplays. And the craft is sort of endlessly fascinating. So I kind of came full circle right back to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, you do a beautiful job with this story, and we were thrilled to publish it. And in this piece, you mentioned how you first heard about the twins by reading an article, and you found a certain kinship with them. It makes sense, you being a filmmaker. But then you traveled more than 2,000 miles to Gaza, which wasn't the safest place to go. What was it that drove you to make that journey?
I really, really felt compelled by them. That was the first thing. And then I think it also caught me at a point in my life where I was starting to feel that maybe the stuff I dreamt of doing as a kid, which was to go to places like that are fascinating and places that are exceptional experiences to feel for yourself, that I was sort of running out of time to do those or to have the confidence to do those. So it was around the same time that my first book I wrote was about something that happened in North Korea, and had the same kind of impulse where I was like, oh, well, I'll just go to North Korea. And there was no real kind of second question. So with this one, I read about them. I was really compelled to meet them. And there was no doubting it. I think the same day, I reached out to that journalist who reached out to a fixer, who reached out to another fixer. And then I started making plans. And I didn't really question it until, I have a friend who's an editor. And when I told him about the plans, he was like, oh, I've wanted to do that kind of thing for years. And it never crossed my mind to just try and do it. So it's that kind of thing of I just have to do this.
Wow. We're glad you did. This story is amazing. And your relationship that's in it with these two brothers is such a compelling part of this story. And so thank you for pursuing it. It's amazing how for some writers, the things we find and the things we get interested in become these things we're just compelled to follow, even when it's difficult. For our viewers who don't know, we run fundraising campaigns with every single story we publish. 50% of the proceeds from those campaigns will go to support Hidden Compass. The other 50% goes to our writer, the writer of the story, on top of their article pay. So, Paul, what would it mean for you for people to contribute to your campaign?
It would be amazing. Most of all, I think in the bigger picture sense. I was really thrilled to get to write this with you guys and for you guys, because it's the kind of story as a writer that you rarely get the chance to write anymore, because everything needs a hook and it needs to be listically, or it needs to be something we can kind of social media selling the opportunities to do something kind of long form about something that just fascinates you and is human and is really the kind of thing that we all feel enriched by reading. That gets rarer and rarer. And by extension, making a living writing those things or exploring those things becomes more and more difficult. So that this setup exists where people are able to actually express their enthusiasm for the work that Hidden Compass does, and appreciation that it is worthwhile for writers to go and do it, is really meaningful, and kind of was in my mind writing that hopefully this is something that will impact people more than 90% of what I write, which is just aiming for a click, really.
Yes, I'm sure it will impact our audience, and we love being able to work with contributors like you, and we also love being able to invite our readers to get to know you better and then to participate in this thing called publishing, which is largely passive for most people, but this is an opportunity where, you know, if you haven't read the story yet, you should go and check it out, and you should contribute to the campaign and support this writer and filmmaker and support us at Hidden Compass. And we thank you all for doing that. And thank you, Paul, for joining us today.